dear students, welcome to the fourth session on the chapter valuation of shares. Here in this session I am going to solve three questions under intrinsic value method. So let us take up the questions one by one. The following is the particulars of A Limited. Total assets 18,50,000, external liabilities 2,50,000. Under the share capital they have given 14% preference shares of rupees 10 each fully paid 5 lakh, 40,000 equity shares of rupees 10 each fully paid 4 lakh, 60,000 equity shares of rupees 10 each, rupees 75 per share paid up 4,50,000. Calculate the value of each category of equity shares based on deemed liquidation. So here it is given that we have to calculate the value of each category of equity shares based on deemed liquidation. We have to assume that the company is going to be liquidated. On that basis we have to calculate the value of share. Please understand, in the exam also you will find this kind of question, but they will not specifically give you whether you have to follow intrinsic value method or market value method or fair value method. So you should be in a position to identify which method you have to follow. Here you can easily identify that because they have given you have to calculate the value of each category of equity shares based on deemed liquidation. While discussing the theory of intrinsic value method or net asset method, I have told you that intrinsic value we calculate on the presumption that the company is going to be liquidated. So here we are assuming that the company is going to close its business. So we realize all assets and we distribute, we use that sale proceed to pay the external liabilities, and whatever the amount remains that will be distributed among the shareholders. So that is the assumption we do. So here you should be in a position to understand that we have to apply the first method, that is intrinsic value method, to calculate the value of share, because they have given specifically that you have to assume that deemed liquidation is happening. Okay, so now coming to the intrinsic value of share, we use the formula intrinsic value is equal to net asset available for equity shareholders divided by number of equity shares. Okay, we have followed the same formula in the previous questions as well. So here in the first step we are going to calculate what is the net asset available for equity shareholders. You have seen the format. How do we write? First we are going to write the present values of various assets. From that we are going to deduct the external liabilities. Whatever the balance we get, that is called net asset available for all types of shareholders. Then we are going to pay the preference shareholders regarding their capital or areas of preference, dividend if any. The remaining balance is called net asset available for equity shareholders. But here one more difference you find, I'll come to that. Let us say, let's roughly calculate now total asset. Here they have given 18,50,000 and market value they have not given, so we can assume that the book value itself is the market value. From that 18,50,000 we are going to deduct this external liabilities. What is the difference you get? 16 lakh. Okay, 18,50,000 minus 2,50,000. So 16 lakh is the net asset available for all types of shareholders. From this we are going to deduct the amount payable to the preference shareholders. Here only their capital has to be paid. How much? 5 lakh. Okay, from 16 lakh if you deduct 5 lakh you will have balance of 11 lakh rupees. If we substitute this in the formula, 11 lakh rupees net asset available for equity shareholders, 11 lakh divided by number of equity shares. So there are two categories of equity shares. If we add the number of equity shares in both the category, we get 40,000 plus 60,000, 1 lakh rupees. But the question is, can we divide it by 1 lakh? Because if you see the first category, 40,000 equity shares of rupees 10 each, fully paid 4 lakh rupees. So here the face value is 10 and the paid up value is also 10. So there is no problem. It is fully paid share. But coming to the second category, we have 60,000 equity shares of rupees 10 each, but only 7.5 is paid up. So this is considered as partly paid up share. When you have one fully paid up and the other one partly paid up, you cannot club those category because the paid up values are different. So in this case you cannot divide it by 1 lakh as the paid up values of two categories are different. So what is the extra adjustment required here? As it is given that we have to calculate the value of share under deemed liquidation, so we are going to assume that whenever the company goes into liquidation, they appoint liquidator who is going to look after the procedure of liquidation. He collects the assets and he realizes the assets, get the sales proceeds of the assets, and that will be used for paying the external liabilities, and then whatever the balance remains he distributes among the shareholders. So let's suppose that he is doing the same case in case of this company also. So there is some amount in the total assets 18,50,000 less external liabilities 2,50,000, but he cannot directly distribute the remaining amount among the shareholders. There is no problem with the preference shareholders, but coming to the equity shareholders, two categories have different paid up values. So what he has to do, thus in the second category, whatever the uncalled amount you find, 10 rupees minus 7.5, we have 2.5 rupees which is uncalled by the company. Now we have to assume that the liquidator is calling that 2.5 and he is collecting. So what is the total uncalled amount he is collecting? 60,000 number of shares into 2.5 per share, so it comes to 1,50,000. So this he is collecting before he distribute the amount among the shareholders. So that is the assumption which we are going to do. So whatever the money he collects, the uncalled amount, that is termed as notional calls. So this should be added to the net asset available for all types of shareholders, and then the other steps have to be followed. So let's see how to calculate in this case. So first step is calculation of net asset available for equity shareholders. We are going to write the present values of all assets 18,50,000. Present value is not given here, but we are assuming that book value itself is the present value. From that we are going to deduct the external liabilities 2,50,000. We have balance of 16 lakh. Okay, so this is called actually net asset available to all types of shareholders. But before this we are making one adjustment, that is, in order to equate the two categories of equity shares, we are going to collect, or we are going to assume that 2.5 of the second category uncalled amount is collected by the liquidator, which is called notional calls. You have to add notional calls in respect of second category of equity shares, 60,000 shares into 2.5, which comes to 1,50,000. So now totally you have 16 lakh plus 1,50,000, 17,50,000. So this is the net asset available for all types of shareholders. From this we are going to deduct the amount payable to the preference shareholders. In this case we do not have arrears of preference dividend, so we have to just pay their capital. 14% preference shares of rupees 10 is fully paid 5 lakh. So this 5 lakh has to be paid to the preference shareholders. The remaining balance would be 12,50,000. So this is called net asset available for equity shareholders. But now the question is, can you distribute this 12,50,000 among all the categories of equity, the two categories of equity shares? Here we have just assumed that we have collected, but it is not actually collected. So we have to first use this formula to calculate what is the intrinsic value of a equity share of A Limited, which is in respect of fully paid up. From that, if you deduct the uncalled amount per share, you will get what is the intrinsic value of second category. So intrinsic value of a share is equal to net asset available for equity shareholders divided by number of equity shares, 2,50,000 divided by, now we can assume that all the categories are same, that is two categories are same because notional call has been assumed to be collected. So 12,50,000 divided by 1 lakh, so you get 12.5 per share. Can you give the same 12.5 to both the categories? In the first category they have paid 10 rupees, but in the second category they have paid only 7.5. This is not actually collected. Once again I am telling, it is only assumed to be collected in order to use this formula. Otherwise it is not possible to calculate this way. But actually in the first category they have paid 10 rupees, in the second category they have paid just 7.5. If you give 12.5 to the both the categories, it will be injustice making to the first category because they have paid 2.5 more when compared to the second category. So what you have to do, in case of first category which is fully paid up, the intrinsic value is 12.5. But coming to the second category, that is partly paid up share, so intrinsic value of partly paid up share is 12.5, which is in respect of fully paid up, minus paid uncalled amount per share 2.5. So the remaining balance would be rupees 10 per share. Okay, so this is how we have to calculate the intrinsic value, where there are two categories of equity shares with different paid up values. Okay, then let us take up the second question here. The following are the balance sheet of A Limited and B Limited as on 31st 12 2008. We have we have been given the balance sheet of two companies, A Limited as well as B Limited. On the asset side, they have given fixed assets. A Limited has 60,000, B Limited has 32,000. Goodwill, in case of A Limited, it is nil, okay, and B Limited has 5,000. Then the next item is 45,000 shares in B Limited. Amount is given in A column, A Limited's column, which means that A Limited has made investment of 45,000 shares in B Limited's company, B Limited company. Okay, here if you see the share capital of B Limited, so 50,000 is the share capital. What is the face value? 1 rupee. So how many shares are there? 50,000 shares are there in B Limited, of which 45,000 shares are held by A Limited. So that is why it is given here on the asset side of the A Limited, 45,000 shares in B Limited, which means that A Limited has made investments in the shares of B Limited, 45,000 shares, which has the investment value of 60,000. Book value of investment is 60,000. In order to acquire 45,000 shares, they have paid 60,000. So the book value of investment is shown at 60,000. B Limited dash, it does not have any investment. Then coming to the current asset, 32,000 and 22,000. On the liability side, we have share capital. Under that, shares of rupee 1 each. A Limited has 1 lakh, B Limited has 50,000. Profit and loss account, you have debentures and creditors. Fixed assets of A Limited and B Limited are worth 71,000 and 36,000 respectively. Value of goodwill is nil for both the companies. Find out intrinsic value of shares of both the companies. So here we need to calculate the intrinsic value of A Limited as well as B Limited. But can we directly calculate what is the intrinsic value of A Limited and then B Limited? No, because if you see here, they have given investment of A Limited in the shares of B Limited, and as I said, in order to acquire 45,000 shares in B Limited, A Limited had paid 60,000. So this is just the book value of investment. When they have given the information also about B Limited, it is possible to calculate what is the present value of investment of A Limited based on the intrinsic value of B Limited shares. How do we calculate the present value of investment of A Limited? Intrinsic value of B Limited into number of shares, that is 45,000. So by using this formula, it is possible to calculate the present value of investment of A Limited instead of writing this book value. That is why first we are going to calculate what is the intrinsic value of B Limited company, and then we are going to calculate the intrinsic value of A Limited, taking into consideration the present value of investment of A Limited. Okay, now let's see how to calculate the intrinsic value of B Limited. So in case of B Limited, you have to just look into the column of B Limited now. What is the fixed asset they have given? B Limited is worth rupees 36,000. So you have to consider fixed asset 36,000. In the balance sheet, they have given goodwill amounting to 5,000, but it is stated that the value of goodwill is nil. So don't consider that. Then it does not have any investment. Current asset, they have not given present value. So we are assuming that book value itself as the present value. So here you can write fixed assets 36,000, current asset 22,000. You get total gross market value of various assets as 58,000. From this, we are going to deduct the various liabilities. Now you see the liability side, only B's column, B Limited's column. Share capital is given, it's not a liability. Profit and loss account, no. Debentures, they don't have. Only one liability is there, that is creditor. So from this 58,000 gross market value of various assets, we are going to deduct the external liabilities, that is creditors, amounting to 3,000. So we will have balance of 55,000. Usually we write it as net asset available for all types of shareholders, but in this case we do not have preference shares. That is why this itself can be considered as net asset available for equity shareholders. Then what is the formula we use here? Intrinsic value of a share is equal to net asset available for equity shareholders divided by number of equity shares. In this case, what is the number of equity shares in B Limited? 50,000 capital divided by face value of one share, 1. 50,000 divided by 1 is 50,000. So here 55,000 net asset available divided by 50,000, you get intrinsic value of B Limited company as rupee 1.1 1 per share. Okay, so now you have come to know what is the intrinsic value of B Limited. On this basis, we are now going to calculate what is the present value of investment of A Limited. So the present value of investment of A Limited made in the shares of 45,000 shares of B Limited is equal to number of shares, how many shares, 45,000, into intrinsic value of B Limited share, so which we calculated here 1.1. so we have got the present value of investment as 49,500. So what was the book value? 60,000. We cannot consider this because at present the value of investment is only 49,500. Now let's calculate what is the intrinsic value of A Limited company. So in case of fixed asset, they have given here in the adjustment, fixed assets of A Limited worth 71,000. Goodwill is not there. Investment you have to write whatever you calculated just now, 49,500, and current assets you have to consider how much, 32,000. Okay, so from this we are going to deduct the various liabilities. In this case we have two liabilities, debentures and creditors. Let's see. So fixed assets 71,000, investments in B Limited 49,500, current assets 32,000, total gross market value of various assets 1,52,500. From this we are deducting the external liabilities, debentures and creditors 20,000 and 7,500. We have net asset available for equity shareholders 1,25,000. So now we are going to apply this formula. Intrinsic value of share is equal to net asset available for equity shareholders divided by number of equity shares. So 1,25,000 divided by, what is the number of equity shares here? Total capital is 1 lakh divided by face value of one share is 1. 1 lakh divided by 1 is 1 lakh shares. So you will have 1.25 per share as the intrinsic value of A Limited. So this is how we have to calculate the intrinsic value, where they have given us balance sheets of two companies. So first you need to calculate the intrinsic value of that company in which the other company has made investment, so that you can calculate what is the present value of investment of other company, and later you can calculate the intrinsic value of the other company also. Okay, then let's see the third question now. Following is the balance sheet of Manohar Limited as on 31st March 2018. On the asset side, we find fixed assets 1,50,000, stock 2 lakh, debtors 2 lakh, bank balance 1 lakh. On the liability side, 20,000 equity shares of rupees 10 each 2 lakh, 8%, 5,000 preference shares of rupees 10 each 50,000, general reserve 1 lakh, profit and loss account 1 lakh, creditors 1 lakh, provision for taxation 1 lakh. The fixed assets were valued at 2 lakh and there is a RBD at 10%. Compute the intrinsic value of the share. So I'm just going to explain this question. You can solve it in your notebook. Now it is given that we have to calculate intrinsic value. We are going to follow the same step. First we are going to calculate the net asset available for equity shareholders. We have to write the present values of various assets. Fixed asset, they have given the present value. So what we have to write here, fixed asset 2 lakh rupees. Okay, fixed asset 2 lakh rupees. Then stock, they have not given present value, so we are going to write as it is, stock 2 lakh rupees. Then debtors, the book value is 2 lakh, but there is a RBD, reserve for bad debt, to the extent of 10%. So what is the remaining balance? You will write 2 lakh minus 20,000. You have to write debtors 1,80,000. Okay. Then you have bank balance as it is. You have to write how much? 1 lakh. So when you add this, you will get gross market value of various assets 2 lakh, so plus 2 lakh, 4 lakh, 6 lakh 80,000 is the gross market value of various assets. From this we are going to deduct the liabilities. Okay, you have to identify what are the liabilities given in the question. Equity share capital no, preference share capital no, general reserve no, profit and loss account no, creditors yes, provision for taxation yes. So there are two liabilities, creditors and provision for taxation, 1 lakh and 1 lakh. So 2 lakh has to be deducted. So you will have balance of 66,000. Not sorry, it is 6,80,000, right? By mistake I wrote. So 6,80,000 minus 2 lakh, you will have 4,80,000. This is the net asset available for all types of shareholders. From this 4,80,000, you have to deduct the amount payable to the preference shareholders. Here the capital is how much? 50,000. So 4,80,000, this minus 50,000, you will have balance of 4,30,000. So this is the amount net asset available for equity shareholders. Then divided by number of equity shares. In this case there are 20,000 equity shares. So 4,30,000 divided by 20,000. See what is the net asset or intrinsic value you get per share. That's it for this session. In the next video onwards, I'm going to start the second method, that is yield method or dividend yield method, or which is also called market value method. So thank you for watching.